Africa is full of impossible creatures. This is well known a fact. Most primitive and savage beings of our planet inhabit its regions. Its plains are dominated by voracious animals and its valleys have been conquered by all kinds of beasts that surprise the carefree tourists year after year. Nothing can prepare you to endure the experience of touring this continent, but today we'll try to show you a reality that you'll rarely see on the news. It's a set of stories about monstrous animals, river killers, and all kinds of creatures that you won't believe exist. But you'd better start accepting the truth, especially if you wish to visit Africa someday. So, are you ready to face the monsters of this continent? If so, come with us on this journey and get ready to be amazed like never before. Number 3. The first stop on this disturbing quest for monsters along the African rivers begins with the German explorer and hunter Paul Gratz. This celebrated figure was on an expedition in Zambia in 1911, where he was exploring the dreaded Lake Bangweulu. But what made this lake so fearsome? According to local accounts, it was home to one of the most terrifying creatures in all of Africa, a ferocious monster that murdered fishermen in the most brutal ways. Its mere form was cause for terror, but falling into its clutches simply meant the end of life. Paul Gratz was determined to discover the truth of this supposed myth that the natives repeated so often. Did the famous Insanga creature really exist? It didn't take Paul long to find out. While navigating the mouths of the great rivers of northern Bangweulu, the creature emerged from a swamp that connected with the waters of the lake. Paul described it as a creepy monster, a relative of the lizards of prehistoric times, but with skin that lacked scales, large yellow eyes that watched over anything that moved on the waters, and claws so sharp that it nearly slashed Paul's boat. The Insanga was in front of his eyes, and although he tried to hunt it, the bullets didn't have the expected effect. Some were simply repelled by the creature's thick skin, and those that managed to penetrate only caused a slight scratch that scared the Insanga away. After this experience, many researchers and hunters came across other Insanga throughout history, thus confirming that the legend of the Zambian natives wasn't only real, but a fact to be taken into account if one wanted to survive when visiting this place. However, on some occasions, African creatures aren't so easily elusive. Such is the case of the following monster, a fearsome animal that is known for stopping the flow of rivers and devouring everything the waters bring. Number 2. Around the same time that the Insanga was discovered, a little further away from Zambia, in the Republic of Cameroon, another passionate German named Losnitz embarked on an adventure in search of exotic animals. The year was 1913, and his goal was clear: to catch the creature that the native tribes called Mackelembe, better known as he who stops the flow of rivers. Losnitz fervently believed in the existence of this creature, not only because of the locals' accounts, but also because of the autobiographical book written by Carl Hagenbeck, a respected explorer, in which he described the existence of an unknown animal that seemed to be a mixture of an elephant and a dragon. It was also described as a possible dinosaur that, in some strange way, had survived for centuries. Losnitz's adventure was arduous and frustrating. After several trips to the rivers where the creature was supposed to be, he failed to find even a single fish of curious size. The waters seemed rather calm, uniform, and free of danger. However, during the 10th voyage of exploration, Losnitz encountered the mythical creature. He did so almost by mistake, as the boat was traveling smoothly through the river when it slammed into what appeared to be a concrete wall. Some of the crew nearly fell into the water, but fortunately, they did not. As they approached the bow, they discovered the unthinkable. In front of them, a brownish-gray animal the size of an elephant with the body of a hippopotamus was staring at them with rabid eyes. A ferocious roar came from its thick jaw with thick, square teeth. The head was supported by an elongated and flexible neck, like a snake, and its muscular body ended in an elongated and immobile alligator tail. It certainly fit the description in the book, although it had little of a dragon and much of a chimera, as the creature seemed to be a random mixture of African animals. Immediately, the creature began to flutter in the water and attempt to sink the boat, but fortunately, the boat had sailed upstream, and after several successful moves, they managed to get the current to return them to the safety of the road. The creature was unable to reach them, although it tried. During its efforts, it took several shotgun shells, but according to Lusnit himself, the beast received no significant damage. For decades, this wild beast has been the greatest aspiration of numerous hunters and cryptozoologists. However, despite other recorded encounters with the beast, no one has succeeded in catching it so far. Nevertheless, there are occasions when these creatures do manage to be caught, albeit at a great price. Such is the case of the following river beast, a wild animal whose story will freeze your blood. Number 1. The following creature is one of the strangest beasts recorded to date on the African continent. Its finding was started by an ordinary young man named Owen Burnham, a 15-year-old local resident who was on the beach at Bungalow in the distant Gambia when he stumbled upon the carcass of a never-before-seen creature. Young Owen was cleaning the shoreline that morning when he almost stumbled upon something that was buried in the sand. Apparently, it was a creature of great size, and despite being buried several feet below the ground, part of its massive body was still sticking out like a stone in the path. As he approached, Owen could see that it wasn't any species he was familiar with. The creature was more similar to some monster from a children's story than to a marine animal. According to his description, it was over 5 meters long and 2 meters wide. Its white and brown skin was so smooth that when he tried to touch it with a wooden stick, it immediately slipped off. As for its head, it resembled that of a dolphin in some ways, but a strange half-open beak protruded where its jaw should be. And inside its mouth, more than 80 sharp, crooked teeth were stained with blood. Most curiously, the creature had oversized, spiky fins and a strong, elongated crocodile tail. When Owen managed to get some members of his tribe to investigate his discovery, they managed to dig up the beast, which was completely dead. Only then did they discover the magnitude of the animal, as it was more than 9 meters long and seemed to be armed with selected parts from animals of the country. This strange creature was called Gambo, and its carcass served as food for the local villages. Part of its remains were chopped up and only a few fragments of its bones survived, which reached the famous cryptozoologist Richard Freeman, who ventured to this land in 2006 to locate the Gambo and other local creatures that, according to all reports from the natives, still lurk in the area. Unfortunately, there have been no major findings since that date, but every so often, a sighting of the mythical Gambo is reported, an unexplained creature that many cryptozoologists are still eager to catch. However, this creature isn't the greatest danger you can encounter if you visit the Gambia. In fact, it doesn't even come close to resembling the monstrous creature that lurks in the heart of this country, since encountering it could mean the end of your life. Zone 0. Deep in the swamps of the Gambia, numerous researchers and local citizens have been able to witness what appears to be the most exact copy of a dragon that inhabits the rivers. It's known to be one of the wildest animals on the planet, and although it hasn't been caught at any time in history, it's said that one look from this terrifying creature is enough to lose your life. Its name is Ninkinyanka, which means devil's dragon, according to the native language, and it's a gigantic beast whose resemblance to dinosaurs and dragons has astonished the cryptozoologists of the world. The number of sightings of this strange animal is proportional to the number of victims it has left behind. According to local reports, this creature is a harbinger of imminent death, and dozens of healthy people have died weeks after encountering this demonic dragon. Reports usually describe it as a large lizard, at least 15 meters long, whose slender body supports a dark head with the texture of a meteorite. 2 large horns and fearsome jaws protrude from it, which open to reveal dozens of sharp fangs always ready to grind the flesh of its victims. In the Gambia, this creature has become part of the legends of the villages, and tourists are warned to try to stay as far away as possible from the swamps, since the Ninki Nanka isn't only a harbinger of death, but also an extremely ferocious creature that attacks everything that crosses its path. Survivors of its attacks have suffered from savage diseases, and those who have survived have never been the same. Tradition suggests that the only way to escape this creature is to show it your reflection, which impacts it in such a way that it flees immediately. Whether these theories are true is unknown, but one thing is certain: no one wants to verify them. Like these terrifying creatures, Africa hides wild demons and malevolent beasts that terrorize dozens of tourists every year. Their chilling stories have been well documented, and if you're willing to continue learning some truths about this remote part of the world, you'd better join us in the following videos.